Hi, my name is Shireen Douglas, and I would like to welcome you to this episode of Power Stories. Now sit back, enjoy, and be prepared to be inspired. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Power Stories. If you're new to Power Stories, usually Power Stories is it's where I hold space for women to share their stories of empowerment in my group called Be Empowered. We had a little talk amongst us all, and we decided that we wanted to hear from the brothers. So for the next couple of weeks, I've invited some brothers to come and share their stories to inspire us, to empower us, and to motivate us to find our own story. If you don't know me, my name is Shireen Douglas. I'm an energy healer, and I consider myself a space holder for women. I help women reconnect to their personal power so that they can live life on their own terms. So today we've got the beautiful Horace Jones, aka Gamechanga. I'm going to let him introduce himself right now. Horace, over to you.
Thank you, Shireen. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to probably be the first brother on the show. So I want to say thank you for me giving me this space. I go by the name of the Game Changer. It only takes a moment to change the game. Find the time to find the time. And my whole ethos is just to inspire people, motivate. The three areas that I specify in is nutrition, fitness, and inspiration. So it's just always pushing that positive energy out to people who find a lack of enthusiasm or a lack of energy in them kind of spaces. And I just try and push out that, everything takes time, and also understanding that, every step is a closer step to anywhere you want to get to in life. So yeah, that's what the Game Changer is about. It's about, turning things on its head, looking at things like the word can't, changing it to can, and also looking at things like, just introducing things of like, just taking time out for yourself and start realizing what is it you want, and then start working towards that goal or that aspiration or that next movement of you. But yeah, so that's the Game Changer, really and truly.
Thank you, beautiful. So just to let you know, everyone watching at home, how this is normally structured is I'll ask some questions. Horace will share with us his own story of empowerment and how he became the Game Changer. And towards the end, after I've asked him some questions, I will go to the comment section just to see what you're saying. And if you've got any questions that you would like me to pose to him, I'll do that at the end. And also at the end, we'll get all the information that we need to connect with Horace if you feel inspired to work with him, or just view many of his motivational, inspirational posts that he puts out there. So Horace, I ask everyone that comes on here, I ask them two questions.
Mm-hmm.
The first question that I ask everyone is, what does power mean to you?
That's a good question. To answer that question, I'm gonna have to give you an illustration of how the changes have been in my life to be able to answer that question honestly. Now, if you'd asked me that same question when I was probably 16 to probably 20, I would say power meant to me that the drug dealer on my street who was making all the money and had everybody following him. That's how I would say power meant to me. When I got older and I started working, then I would say power meant to me my boss, the person who owned the company, who again could give out orders and have people work underneath him. Now, the state of mind that I'm in now and the frame of mind that I'm in now, I see power as, if you look at a lion and you say, well, why is a lion the king of the jungle? Like they say, he's not the biggest, he's not the smartest, he's not the fastest. But what the lion has is courage and he has bravery. So when I look at what power means to me, power means to me being brave, having courage, and they're the things that separate you from most people, you know. So from when you got courage, it means that you're willing to undergo anything. The same with bravery. When you got bravery, you're willing to, you know, go the extra mile or do things where other people say, okay, have you done that? Have you achieved that? So for me, when I look at power, I see bravery, courage, and discipline. The reason why I threw discipline in there, because, you know, if you can't be disciplined, then you ain't gonna have no courage, and you ain't gonna have the bravery. So when I see power or anything that belongs with power, because when we look at power, we can look at an athlete at the top of his game. And when you look at an athlete at the top of his game, one of the most things he has discipline, he has courage, and he has bravery, and he has courage to keep going. So for me, it's them three concept to me is basically, like I said, courage, bravery, and discipline.
That's amazing, and I agree. And what I like about this question and why I asked this question is just to give us a broader understanding of what power is. And each week, what it is that I'm seeing is a similarity, because I think when that question is answered, what's become apparent is it's quite an active energy. Power throws us into action. So it's like you said, courage and bravery and discipline, all of them require you to take action. Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you for answering that. And the next question that I've got for you is, when you feel empowered, how does that feel in your body?
Well, empowered is like another feeling of endorphins in it. It's like that you know, you get up and going. So it's kind of like it's just like an unstoppable feeling that it gives you that bit more of a push to do things, to be creative, and I think if you can feel empowered or feel as if like you have a sense of energy inside you, I think there's no limit to what you might do or to what you can achieve. So they're the kind of things that I always try and push to people. Like, certain things don't happen overnight. You know, like going back to the courage, having courage doesn't happen overnight. Being brave doesn't happen overnight. Having discipline doesn't happen overnight. So these are the things that if you work at them consistently over a period of time, you know, little by little, you will start adapting these things. Same with energy as well, because sometimes you could feel a bit, you know, what's going on with life, feel a bit overwhelmed. But sometimes you feel overwhelmed, you start procrastinating. So if you can have a goal or have something to work towards, what people say is your why. If your why is big enough, sometimes that alone can keep you going. So energy to me, it's a form of endorphins in it. It's just like, wow, it just keeps you going. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I like there's something that you just said there about it doesn't happen overnight. And it's nice that you said that, because sometimes it can feel really demotivating, or what's the other word that I'm looking for? Let's say demotivating, when you don't feel in that state. But what I hear you saying is you can build on that, you know, mm-hmm. day after day, which is really encouraging. So thank you for that. Okay, so we're going to go into your power story now. Mm-hmm. So could you share with us then your journey into becoming the game changer, right from the beginning, all the details?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a bit of a analogy that I wanted to break down to kind of like give you a bit more understanding. Do you know how to train a flea?
I think I've heard this one, but yeah. Go on, I'll let you tell it.
Well, basically, the reason why I'm using this analogy is kind of like, if you can understand how to train a flea and understand the whole concept behind that analogy, then I can bring you on a journey. So, for example, they say to train a flea is that you get a flea and you put him in a jar, And they say a flea can jump 36 vertical inches. So once you put that flea in the jar, after a while, it only jumps just enough so he's not banging his head or banging her head, okay? Now what they say after a while, if you take the lid off the jar, the flea will still bounce just enough so he's not banging his head. So even though the lid's been taken off, it's still jumping that certain height. And they also say if that flea now has babies, they also adapt that same concept. They only jump that height. You understand? Because basically what they're doing, they now got what's the word I'm looking for? They're basically now following what they see. Okay, so when I say my power story or my journey is mostly of what I've seen. Basically, it was made me make, whether it's wrong decisions, whether it's right decisions. My environment has had a massive impact on my life, and it shaped me. As I look back now, I could say it's done me well. But I was growing up as a child, there was moments where I wanted to end it. It was drama. It was heartache. There was no structure. There was nothing, I felt as if like I was just left to the lions, as they literally say. I came here at the age of 9. Even though I'm English, I was born in St. Mary's Hospital. My mum used to travel back and forth. I've got a younger sibling. So my mum used to travel from back and forth because my younger sibling was basically born in Jamaica, where I was born in England. So as a child, I was also one of the youngest child to be on the plane by myself. So my mum used to put me on the plane here, and someone used to pick me up on the opposite side. So I used to do it as a child, back and forth. As a child, growing up in Jamaica, I was like a wild child. Jamaica to me was just like, it was just like a story out of the Jungle Book. It was absolutely, it was just beautiful, just like the Jungle Book. If you ever seen the Jungle Book cartoon, with all the streams and all the animals, that's what Jamaica was to me. You know, I was that kid out the Jungle Book. You know, that's how Jamaica was to me, and I loved it. And growing up, it was just like the whole thing of being in school just wasn't for me. You know, I wanted to be free. I wanted to roam. I wanted to have adventures. I just wanted to just be free. But at the same time, I was also a child that was very, whether it's mischievous, but I was very like, I always wanted to know what was going on. You know, like, you know, I found myself in like little clubs dancing and, you know, playing the air guitar. And I had a very massive imagination as a child.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to double check that because it froze on Facebook. So I'm just making sure that you're still running and you're not,
Okay.
we're not just speaking. Sorry.
No worries, no worries.
Let's see. Right, okay. I think it did freeze a little bit, but I think, yeah, we're okay now. So
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No worries. So like I said, I had a wild imagination. I was in places, you know, like I said, I used to go to like little clubs as a child and play my air guitar to Bob Marley. And, you know, I just loved being free. I felt like the whole school concept wasn't for me. And because I was always daydreaming, well, basically in them days, I used to get beaten at school. And my school was like a stone throw away from my house. So obviously by the time I got home, my teacher told my mum. So I got double beaten. So basically the concept was, well, I'm not going to go to school then. I just get one lot of beating. So I took it upon myself to kind of like not go to school. And it's kind of like, I think back in them days, you probably could not go to school and kind of get away with it in a way, in a sense, not full, but in a sense. So yeah. My daily routine as like maybe 8-year-old, 7-year-old was I wake up, I wait for the guy with the goats. I go for a walk with him in my countryside, in my Jungle Book avatar world, indulging in that. And then after that, I go to the beach, go for a little swim. The tide will go out. I swim out as far as I can. And when I look back, I think to myself, do you know how many times I could have drowned? You know, because I'm in a big, massive sea as a 7-year-old child. There's no mum, nobody. I'm there with big men or big women. But yeah, from a child, I could see you know, just the structured lifestyle of what a structured lifestyle could be. I don't think it was ever for me. You know, I wanted to be free. Anyway, fast forward a couple of years, I got here when I was age 9 years old. I was living with my auntie, and she had 3 siblings. And when I landed, you can imagine I've just come from, like, you know, like you might say it was like the Sahara Desert, you know, and I've come into this freezing cold place. I cried. I absolutely cried. I did. I cried. I cried for probably days and weeks. I absolutely hated it. I had to go to school because my auntie, she worked at the school. She was a dinner lady. So I had to go to school. Obviously, with my accent being strange, with my clothes being strange, it was just a ride of being bullying day after day. So again, being taken out of my environment, being put in an alien environment, being laughed upon, being picked upon. There's no mum, no dad. You can imagine it was hell. It was absolutely, it was just a construction of hell every day. But looking back, I can see that there was always courage inside me. There was always a mad depth of courage and bravery inside me, even though I didn't know it. There was, because I kept on going, and even though there was times when, you know, like I wanted it to end, you know, I woke up, I got dressed, I went to school, I got picked up on, and I kept going. And over the years, like I said, I moved from one auntie to another auntie, so I moved from area to area, and I lived with different family members and whatnot. And again, like I said, my mum would come here for a year. So within a year, my mum would come here, and I'll have a great life. Obviously, my mum be here, so I can get money. I can go places. I got someone to talk to. And then my mum will go again, because obviously I've got a younger sibling in Jamaica, so she'll go. So again, she'll be gone for a year, sometimes 2 years. And again, it would just, again, back to the roller coaster of, you know, let's just not having, whether it's role models or just not even having a mum or dad, you know, and even somebody close to talk to, because there was times when, you know, like, you know, I mean, like speaking to my cousins were great, but there wasn't my sisters or my brothers, you know. Again, it was just like, I felt as if like sometimes I was intruding. I did feel like I was an intruder, even though these were my family. You can see, I was like, being a child, sometimes children do things, even though we don't mean it. We kind of do things. So sometimes I did feel like I was an alien in somebody's house, that I wasn't wanted or wasn't welcomed. So you can imagine, as a 9-10-year-old child, feeling that every single day. It was a horrible feeling. And like I said, when my mum came back, you know, living there with her for a year or 6 months, it felt great. And then to go back again, it was a horrible feeling. But like I said, I had certain things inside of me that I didn't know I had inside of me. You know, like when I look back at on things, I can honestly say that I had courage inside me from a very young age. I don't know if it was my upbringing, because the upbringing, I kind of had good structure. I had a good foundation. So I think with that good foundation, from 0 to 7 or 8 was a good solid foundation of being able to be have resilience, be able to, because like I said, I used to go places by myself as a child. So I kind of was very wary of like holding my own too. So anyway, as the years went on, obviously I got bigger, and obviously I started fighting. And as I started fighting, I started getting better at fighting. So obviously the bullying stopped, and the name calling stopped. And from there, that's when things like what do you call them, car mining started, because I used to live in Rusholme, and this was right beside the city ground. So when car mining came, that was like a breath of fresh air, because this is the thing, you could mine cars and you can make. So imagine I'm a 10-year-old child, 11-year-old child, I can make £15, you know. So we're going back a few decades now, you know what I mean? So as I was like 11-year-old child making £15. It was great. But one thing I could do, I could save. I knew how to save. And I think because subconsciously I knew that no one was giving me anything. So I had to learn to save. And I had to learn to save from a very young age. So me learning how to save has helped me now as an adult. So like I said, I would do my car mining, and the match was sometimes every 2 weeks. So whatever money I made, I had to make sure it lasted me for 2 weeks before the match came again. Also, it also gave me the freedom to be able to buy things. So I even started buying my own toys. You know, I bought my own stuff from a very young age. I bought everything. You know, there was even a point where I wanted a bike and I couldn't afford the bike, so I started buying parts of the bike. You know, paying down on a bike every single week, paying down.
And how old were you?
This is like 11, 10 years old.
Wow.
Like I said, I think growing up in wherever in Jamaica, like I said, the skills that I accumulated, even though I came here, I feel as if like I was ahead of kids my own age. You know, I think I was, even though I was still like in my feelings, as they would say, when I came out of that and I seen what was in front of me, I was adapting very quickly. So, for example, knowing how to make money, knowing how to save money, I came from a place where there was little of nothing. So when I knew how to make it stretch. From there, from car minding it came from there. As I got older, I started doing things like paper round. I started going to the pubs and sweeping up when it was like autumn. There's too many leaves, so I always found ways to make money. And I was also a very creative child as well, because I used to make things like these are called like slingshots. We used to call them in Jamaica, like catapults. We used to make them, and I used to sell them. So I was always a creative child, because again, I think because I came from a creative place where Jamaica is a place where there is not a lot of money, so you have to have ideas. So as I got older, as I said, I moved around a lot. My mum came here 1 year, she was gone in another year. And I think by this time now, I've now hit secondary school. And I think by now I still can't read, I still can't spell. And I don't think it bothered me, because I feel as if like there was no goals in the aspiration of seeing school as like the top of my checklist. You know, I think my mind was still in that avatar state of being in that Jungle Book. You know, I think my mindset was still in that kind of that world, because every time I felt as I was lost or I felt in danger, I always go back to that. That was like my safety zone. So like I said, I'm in juicy now. And this was also another thing. The whole point of me going juicy, because I had nobody to sit down with me to even fill out school application forms. There was nobody there. So I had to fill out my own school application forms. And because the school I went to, Juicy was the school connected. So I didn't really have to fill out any forms. So that's why I went to Juicy. Now, when I went Juicy was basically, it wasn't a school for learning. It was a school for basically, Juicy was basically, I had every single person that who ended up in either Gooch or Donington or alongside. So all the gang members went to Juicy. So unless you had some strong role models, you probably left Juicy with no qualifications ever. Now imagine I've gone Juicy, I couldn't read or write. I couldn't read or spell. So most of the thing was just going to school. Now, one of the things that school gave me was always structure. I knew I had to be somewhere at a certain time. I also knew this as well, like my auntie, she used to cook very late. She was a very late cooker. Now, I was always an early sleeper. From a young child, I went bed early. So most nights I went bed without food. So when I went to school gave me that steady meal. So I'll be honest, I didn't go to school to learn. I went to school because I got a steady meal. That's one of the reasons why I went to school. And also I think the structure, just having some kind of structure. And mostly again, I used to like having PE and whatnot, and obviously I've been talking with friends and whatnot, but it wasn't a learned concept. There was one teacher that I like. His name was Mr. Taylor. And he used to talk to us sometimes about certain things, and try and be like a father figure. So he used to kind of like talk to us. I remember one time as a child, he got us all up in a row. This was like, obviously, Juice was mostly a population of black kids. Got us all up in a row, and he told us to take off our tops, and he started writing our names in our chest. And from that day on, I made sure I cream my skin. You know what I mean? Because he was showing us about hygiene and looking after yourself, and just probably being a young man. I think he was trying to show us things that, like I said, the most children that went to Juice, there was no father figure. I think out of maybe 500 kids that went to that school, I only knew one friend that had a father. The rest of us was single parents. Most mums had 2 jobs. So again, there was no structure of a male role model in our lives. So I feel as if like he was trying to show us, even though he had crude ways of doing it.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
You know, he had crude ways of doing it. I even remember one time as well. It got us up in a straight line, and it made us do our ABC. And there was loads of us that didn't know. And remember, we're now 11 years old. We're now 11 years old, and we don't even know our ABCs. And it wasn't just, I'm talking, 20, 30 odd kids stood up in a row and did not know the ABCs at the age of 11 years of age.
Wow.
So
that's what I wanted to ask you. Sorry, I know I said I was going to just let you flow, but it feels appropriate to ask you, because you've got through primary school. You're now in high school, and you're saying that you still wasn't able to read or write. Like, how did that work? Because you're going to school every day. The teachers are teaching. How are they not picking up that you're not able to read or write? Like, how does?
Well, one of the things that I remember, I can't remember this lady's name. What she used to do, she used to get us on a rug, and the ones that wanted to play with toys, she used to just let us. And the ones that wanted to sit down with her and like read a book, she would take. So she kind of gave us options. And obviously, as a child, you wanted to play. So most of us just played. And going back now, it was like mostly the black kids that just stayed in the corner and played, and the white kids read in a way. And I think it all boils down to structure and role models. Maybe looking back, it was a thing where, like, for example, because I have my own kids now, I could see what could have happened. Like, I sit down and I read with my kids. So if somebody's reading, my kids probably want to go and see what's reading. But if nobody's reading with you at home, that seems to be alien. You want to probably go back to playing because that's what you see. Do you understand? So most of the time, we just play while everyone else is reading. So again, you know, obviously days went by, weeks went by, years went by. And again, I think because most of our parents were working 2 jobs, there was no parents' evening. And if there was parents' evening, your mum was working a second job. So there was no link to say, you know, your child needs help in this department and that department, Where now they've got all these things in place where it's very rarely where a child can leave primary school and can't read. You know what I mean? It's very rarely. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's very rarely. Again, we're going back a few decades where these things were in place. And again, it all depends on what area you were from as well. You know, this is going back to the flea. Like I said to you, the story of the flea always goes back to that. So, like I said, now I'm now a first year, 11 years of age. I'm in Juicy. Most of my friends have been excluded. Most of my friends now are on Gooch, they're on Donington. They're now selling drugs. I'm still in school.
Just in case people don't know, because we've got people all over watching this. Gooch and Donington are gangs.
So they were basically the neighborhood gangs in my area. And like I said, by the time most of the youngsters were 11 years old, they got excluded from school. And I'm not talking 10 kids, I'm talking hundreds of kids got excluded. So by the time they were 11, these kids were already out there selling drugs at 11 years old. Again, no role models, environment, again, going back to the flea being in a jar. You know, so as time's gone on, now 12, 13, I'm doing my little paper round, making my little, you know, my little £10, £15, whatever. I still got my structure of, you know, saving up, buying my stuff. And again, like I said, my mum would come here 1 year, again, she would get a job. I remember one time my mum was there and she used to work 12-hour shifts. She used to work from 12 till 12. So I never seen her anyway. You know what I mean? Because she'd start 12 o'clock in the afternoon to 12 o'clock at night. And remember, I've always been an early sleeper. So by the time she came home, I was sleeping. So it's only the weekends I used to see her. But the weekends, You want to go out with your friends, don't you? You want to play with your friends. You don't want to go shopping with your mum and push a shopping trolley and all that, right? You don't want to do any of that stuff there, you know what I mean? Pulling the shopping trolley in and going Nettles. You know, Nettles was obviously, them time, Nettles was like the poor shop, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you didn't want to be feeling Nettles with a big yellow bag, pulling the shopping trolley. But anyway, these are the things that you have to do. So again, I think, you know, 13, 14, I was never really a person to be into gangs and the whole concept of gangs. You know, I like to have my friends and go and riding bikes and whatnot, but the whole thing of being a gang never really truly done it for me. It just somehow I felt, because when I got bullied as a child, I was by myself and I dealt with it by myself. So again, it gave me that structure of being brave. I can stand on my own 2 feet. So I was never really into that. But I suppose as I got older, I wanted more. And the paper round wasn't doing, and again, mum wasn't there. So I started getting into influences of what I could see. Again, my environment, you know, my environment were pushing things out in front of me, and I was taking them aboard. You know, there was times where there were certain things that you done in your area that, you know, I'm not happy about, but I jumped on it and I joined in because that was the way to make money at that time in the area. And like I said, as you get older, you know, you wanted more as a child, and you got exposed to more. You know, I think by the time I was nearly 16, I think there were the time where drugs in my neighborhood was absolutely thriving. You know, Class A drugs, Class B, Class C drugs, and I think I must have probably just started smoking a bit of weed then. I think when I was about 16. And again, like I said, I was in Wally Range with my little Wally Range crew. We used to ride bikes and do our little things and trying to getting up to mischiefs and whatnot. And I think there are the times when I think I decided that, you know, I think I wanted my own. I wanted my own money. I kind of wanted to do my own things, and I kind of wanted to. I feel as if like I was sick of like coming home at night time and there was no food. But yeah, everyone's had food apart from me. I think I was just sick of the whole structure of just always hoping. You know, from a very young age, I learned how to what's the word I'm looking for now? Like, say for example, when I used to go like school in the morning, the hot water was gone because obviously there was only a certain amount of hot water. I would have a cold shower and made my body immune to anything bad. Like anything bad did not bother me. Like I said, like I come home, there was no food, it didn't bother me. There was like, I remember once a couple of times there was no milk. So I started having water in my cereal. I made my body immune where water to me was better than milk, you know, and from a young age, I've learned how to adapt my mind into a way where nothing bothers me, you know, because I felt as if like at a very young age, I felt as if like there was no help, and I had to learn how to maneuver and also getting myself in a sense of mindset where it didn't bother me. Like even like now, when I try and look back and try and remember events, I can't remember. There's a lot of things that I don't remember. But I read a book and it was saying about the mind is so powerful that the mind blocks out things to stop you from, you know, well, it kind of stops you from going mad. So when I try and remember certain incidents in my life, I cannot remember loads of incidents. So I know I've had a lot of tragedy and a lot of trauma in my life at a very young age, but my mind's blocked it out to keep me sane. Absolutely. So anyway, like I said, I was growing up with all these things. Like I remember one of the things that I used to do was like life's basically you know, life's basically shit, and it's like anything happens good is a bonus. So my structure of leaving my house was life is shit. So I was ready for anything that was bad. I was on 100% ready. Like there's nothing that you could bring to me that could take me in a space where I would feel down. There's nothing at all. You know, I was ready for anything. And as I got older, obviously, I learned how to even, it even became a habit where, like I said to you, like I was immune. Nothing would bother me. So now, like I said, I'm now about 15 years of age. No, I'm 16 now. I've left school. I'm on that 6-week holiday break, that break you get before you get into college. So I've left school. I can probably read bits and bobs, you know, but it's not no great reading. I can read as good as probably a 4-year-old child.
Right.
Yeah. So I've left now and I've signed up to Mancat College to do mechanics. And again, it wasn't one of the things that I wanted to do. It just seemed to just slot into place. Yeah, Horace, you can leave school, because I think when I was at school and you done your what's it called when you do your 2 weeks in somewhere? What's that called again? Work experience.
Work experience, yeah.
Yeah. So my work experience was in a mechanic place. So automatically, oh yeah, you can do mechanics. So okay, I do mechanics. That was another thing. Was like, okay, now let's go with the flow. You know, let's go with whatever was in front of me. So I'm on this holiday break, and after the holidays, I start Mancat College to start spraying cars in September. So now we're in July.
Mm-hmm.
So July now, out and about, got friends, and a friend of mine says, yo, do you want to make some money? And I'm like, okay, then yeah, I want to make some money. So anyway, I start selling this hard shit, you know? So one day I'm out I'm on Broadfield Road, actually. And one day, at the present moment, I think there's an operation going on in the neighborhood. Obviously, I'm oblivious to what's going on. I'm just trying to make myself some quick money. And I think the same day I get this stuff to sell, the same day I get caught. Same day. So I get caught the same day. So anyway, I get caught the same day. And they bring me to court. They bring me to police station. But anyway, they didn't find anything on me. But because of an operation, I was out there a few times. Now, because once again, there was no parents. There was no one to represent me. So the lawyer that I got was just basically the lawyer that you get from the police. Yeah. So I didn't have no good representation. Once again, going back to the flea in the jar. Okay. So now I'm on bail. The holidays are over now. So I've started college. So I'm in college and I found a job. So I'm in this job 3 days a week, and I'm going to college 2 days a week. And I met a girl. So right now my life's looking good. I'm not really hanging around with the guys anymore. Like I said, I'm in college and my life's looking great. And like a year and a half goes by. And in that year and a half, I've kept on going. I have to go to court. And I keep doing this, kept adjourning it, kept adjourning it. I'm back and forth. My mum's coming back and forth. So my mum's there for 1 minute and I'm working everything. And I'm just oblivious to what's going on. I'm just more in, like, I'm working, got a job, making a bit of money. I've got a girlfriend. I'm no longer at my auntie's house. I'm kind of like with my girlfriend. So I'm kind of like semi-stables. You know, it's kind of like I'm kind of okay. You know what I mean? I'm a job as well. I've been doing it over 6 months now, so I got a little bit of a pay rise. So everything's looking good. You know, everything's great. I mean, one day I went court now, and they took my bail off me. Now I've been going court for about a year and a half. Yeah, and all they keep doing is adjourning. So now I'm nearly 18, so I'm no longer, as they call, a juvenile now. Yeah, so I'm not no longer a minor. So now they can give me like an adult sentence, even though the charge happened when I was 16. They've now prolonged it till I was nearly 18. You understand? So again, this is going back to, again, maybe if I had better role models to say, no, we want to deal with that case now, I probably would have got probably a slap on the wrist and get sent home. So anyway, bail gets taken off me. So next minute, I'm in a sweatbox. A sweatbox is basically a little van that you sit in, and that's the room that you got. I'm now in a sweatbox. So no one knows that I've even gone court, because I've just gone court by myself. Gone court by myself, no one knows. So I must have probably been in jail for about 3-4 days before anyone found out where I was. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So about 3-4 days, I'm in there. And again, that was an experience again. Like, I remember I met this guy, I can't remember what his name was, and he was telling me, you know, like, yeah, you're gonna be okay. And because when I went to court, I was the youngest person there, because everyone else were like big men. They were like in the 40s. They're like big men. I was like a kid. So one of the big men kind of like took a liking to me, and he was explaining to me that I'll be okay because I'll be going to a smaller jail because I'm only a child and XYZ. But I was still nervous. I was absolutely terrified of like now once again in a space by myself, feeling alien in an environment that I don't know. So now, yeah, I'm in a place called Hinley, and I'm in there, and I get there, and all I can remember most of the thing is I was trying to always sleep. I was always trying to sleep the day off because my mind was always going on about if you wouldn't have done this, if you wasn't here, if you wasn't went there, you would have. My mind was always going over that same scenario over and over and over, and it was making me mad. So I tried to sleep to stop the noise in my head. But when I went to sleep in the daytime, I was awake in the nighttime. But now in the nighttime, there's no noise. That even made it worse because now no one's shouting. It's just silenceness. So that having that time to myself was absolutely making me go under. So anyway, eventually, I started trying to write letters. So I remember this to this day on, because again, my reading again now, like I said, it must be again probably of a 5-year-old child, 6-year-old child. So I can read certain words. So I'm getting newspapers and I can spell 3 or 4 or 5 words. So I'm trying to put 3 or 5 words into a sentence. So now I'm trying to write a letter. The letter's taking me maybe 2 weeks to write or a week to write because obviously I can't spell and I can't read. I'm just guessing. So the people that's getting my letters, they must be thinking, what the hell is this guy's trying to say? Because none of it makes sense. Do you know what I mean? But as time went on, obviously, the more I've done it, the more I was getting better. And obviously, I used that time to kind of like educate myself. You know, educate myself with, you know, reading material, like reading the newspapers, reading this, and just using the time the best way possible. Also, that's when I got into the gym, and I realized that I love the gym. So using my time to go to the gym, and just getting out my pad and trying to do things, always trying to be active. I was never, like I said, I was never really into the gangs. I was never really into the like the what was going on around me. I was just always into myself. And what I've always looked about myself, I've always trying to better myself, even having no skills. You know, I always try to work with what I have. So like I said, I was trying to learn myself, educate myself. And then again, I got moved to another jail now because that jail was like a holding jail. So now I'm going to do my sentence, and I had to stop off at a jail, and this was it was like a Geordie jail. And I remember that again. I remember that like it was yesterday. I got there, and all I could hear was they were chanting the N word like it was a football stadium. And imagine 1,000 inmates chanting the N word. Yeah. So I'm in my pad, and all I can hear is just N word like a football stadium. And I'm not like my heart was absolutely beating like 100 to 1 pulse. So I got there in the nighttime. So the daytime, you're allowed out for like exercise. So I said to myself, okay, then right, I'm gonna walk to the back of the yard, and the first person that comes to me, I'm just gonna try and I'm gonna kill him. That was in my mind. I'm just gonna kill him. And what happens after that? But the first person, I'm just gonna kill him. And that was again that was the bravery inside me. It was like even though I was scared, I just knew that I was not gonna go down with that fight. I was not gonna go down in a fight. But I felt as if like when they came on, they looked at me. I think they seen like this guy's not joking about me. This guy means, and they didn't trouble me. Not one person troubled me. But when I went back into my cell again, the chanting starting again. Now I was only there for 2 days. And then I got moved to the final jail that I got moved to. At this time again, obviously my writing, my letters got a bit better. they were still not 100%, but obviously I think the person that was reading my letter, and obviously when I was reading somebody's letter, I could also read their letters. So obviously things are getting better. So you know I was making progress. When I finally got to this last place now, I started doing painting and decorating. And I won loads of accomplishes with gym because I love the gym, you know. And I remember fast forwarding a bit fast in that jail. I was the only person in about 20 years I got parole from that place. So it made me see that my mental state of how I was as a person was always being a good person. Once again, like going back to the story of the flea, is that the flea was put in a jar, and after a while, that flea only jumped as high as it could jump without banging his head. So even when you took that lid off, because of the environment, that flea can only jump so high. And when that flea had babies, they also indoctrinated what the parents were doing. So that's going back to my environment. So even though my environment was not, there was no role models, there was nobody showing me how to make goals, there's nobody showing me how to make aspirations within me, I was making baby steps without even understanding what I was doing. Because for me to get parole out of a place where no one's got parole in over 20 years, that shows that I must have been doing something good. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And when I look back, I could see that, you know, like I says, you know, I was, you know, painting, decorating. I was one of the best paint decorators in there. You know, I was doing things. I was helping people. I was always trying to motivate other people. I think the things that are in me now was always in me, but there was no channeling in the right direction, or there was no one telling me, or there was no guidance. There was no guidance. There was no guidance whatsoever. But I was doing it without knowing. I was doing it unconsciously, without knowing what I was doing. Okay, so now I'm getting out. I've got out to my stepdad's because I couldn't get back out to the house where I was living. So I got back to my stepdad's. So my stepdad now is my brother's dad. So anyway, I'm at their house, and their house is a working environment. So because I'm now in a working environment, I got out on the 7th. By the 11th, I got my first job. So now I got my first job. I'm working in that carpet shop at Princess Road. And I got that job. So every second week, I can still sign on the door. So every second week, I'm getting like a bit of a £60 or £70. Every second week, I get a bit of a extra wage and whatnot. So I got out. When I got out with one pair of pants, one jumper. And basically what I got locked up in is what I got outside. Nothing else apart from that. So obviously, when I got a little bit of money, I bought, bought some underpants one week, I bought some socks one week, and did it. And again, when I look at my life, that's what my life's always been like. I've always learned how to work with basically nothing. So again, now I'll go to a club, and it's about to show you how to fill out application forms. So I'm filling out these job application forms, and because you've been in jail, you've got to tick that box to say you've been convicted. So ticking this box. But I'm thinking, I'm filling out millions of applications. I'm not getting any response. So anyway, I think I must have thought, you know what? I don't know. I think I must have got, I think I got one interview in the airport. So I've gone to the airport now, and I'm feeling good. You know, I'm stepping in the airport and feeling good, thinking, yeah, man, getting a job and all that. Anyway, so I've got there, and the woman's talking to me, and I'm speaking back to her, and she's smiling. And mannerism is telling me, yeah, I've got the job, And as she flicks over to the page where it says tick the box, I can see her face does change, her mannerism change. And it's basically, don't call us, we call you. Yeah. So on the way home, I'm on the bus, and the feeling that I felt inside was the most horriblest feeling that I felt once again. It was like, I felt like I was 9 again. I absolutely felt like that nasty feeling was taking me back again. And it's like I couldn't shake that horrible feeling off. So anyway, when I got back, I decided that these application forms, you know, I'm not going to tick that box. You know, I'm not going to tick that box. I felt as if I was ticking some of it, I wasn't going to tick the boxes. Anyway, I got another shout at the airport again. This was for a company called Alpha Flight Catering Services. This is a food company. So I went in there, and there's a guy called Horace Jones, big guy. I remember I kind of still liaise with him now. You know what I mean? Big guy. And he's the one that gave me my job, Horace Jones. I absolutely love that man. You know, I absolutely love that man. Got in there, and he goes, "Yeah, you got the job." And that again was the most happiest feeling of my life. And but when I got the job, I wasn't too sure if I ticked that box. Didn't know if I ticked that box or not. If I ticked that box, I didn't know. But anyway, within 6 months again, I got promoted to be like a shift leader. Again, it just shows me my progression of me as a person. Like, I make progression very easily. Yeah. I feel as if like I'm a natural leader. I'm a natural person. Like, I know how to bring value to the marketplace. I'm a natural person. I always look to increase my worth, my character. You know, I do it naturally without even understanding myself doing it. So again, fast forward, years gone by, you know, over 10 years. And I remember they now bring out, I think that's when something happens, like a bomb got let off at the airport. So now you've got to fill out these new forms now. And I think that's when they realized that I've been in jail, but I've been there that long where they couldn't sack me. But even filling out the form, again, I went back to that same feeling again. So when my boss was asking, H, have you filled out the form yet? I ain't filling out no form, because I know this is that form that's going to come back on me. So I'm trying to hide this form, asking, listen, you need to fill this form up, bro. If you don't fill this form out, we're going to have to let you go. So I eventually fill the form out. So when I fill the form out, Chris Jones, the guy, he wasn't really my boss no more, because I had different bosses now. And I could see from then, they were looking at me very funny then. Like, everyone kind of like, the way they looked at me was different now, because like, oh, this guy's been in jail and whatever. So I could see the characteristic or the sarcasm or the way they carried themselves was totally different towards me. But as years went on, I met a friend of mine called Marcus Wilkes. And he was like, H, do you read? I says, nah, not really, bro. Not really. And he goes, you know what? Nah, man, you need to read. And he goes, you know what? Yeah, read. He gave me a book. He said, read this book. So when I started reading, and I tried a couple of times, and to be honest with you, the concentration, I couldn't concentrate. I absolutely, every time I tried to read, I felt like, I think one of the reasons why I probably didn't like reading, I remember as a child, when I used to try reading with my mum, if I knew the word at the top and didn't know the word at the bottom, hell broke loose.
Right.
And once I didn't know the word at the bottom, and you know, obviously the shouting started and this started, it gave me a mental block in my head. So I think from then, that's why the reading concept didn't work, because every time I tried to read and like them trauma emotion feelings came back, and it was just like, couldn't do it. And I don't know, again, time went on, and I felt as if like there was something in me that was missing, that I felt as that there was more to me even, because my job at the airport, even though it had fancy title, my job was basically counting chocolate bars. Let's be honest, it was counting chocolate bars. That was my job. But I knew there was more to me than counting chocolate bars. At this time, I was teaching Thai boxing. I was a doorman. I've never ever had one job. I was a doorman. Yeah. Again, doorman didn't need any brains, but I also knew how to talk to people with my mouth. So I never ever got into any confrontation situation where I had to fight. I always knew how to get out of it by using my mouth. So I always knew how to approach people and how to get out of situations. So even though doing the door, it was a brainless job, it was also showing me how psychology works with people. It was also showing me a skill. I also was doing some work at the Wiz project. This was in Wally Range, working with the young Gooch kids to try and show them to look at scenarios in different ways and let them understand about the ripple effect. Again, I was doing these things without even knowing what I was doing. I was just doing it subconsciously. Anyway, I went back to reading again. I brought this book. I thought the book was called, I think it was Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I think that was the first book. I think that was the first book, or it was another book before that. But what I did, I had headphones on. I remember it clear as day. When I put headphones on, it stopped the noises in my head. It stopped all the noises in my head, and it made me concentrate on reading the book. Because when I tried reading, my brain was thinking about 50 billion things at once, so I couldn't focus what was on the page. I had to read it 7-8 times because my brain wouldn't shut down. But once I had the music on, it shut my brain down. So that gave me the concentration to read. So when I started reading now, what I started doing, I started taking myself away from everybody else, and I started sitting in the corner. And everyone's like, oh, look at H sitting in the corner. I think he's too good now because he's reading his books. It wasn't that. It was like another side of me awoken. Another side of me awoken. And when I started reading, it started giving me that belief concept. It started making my mind go on a different journey. And when I started reading, I started taking things out of the books and started building like a structure from it. Like what a person would say, like a lesson plan. I was building a lesson plan without even knowing what I was building a lesson plan. Like I said, I was doing things years before I even knew what I was doing, you know? So yeah, I was doing lesson plans. And I remember I met a friend of mine, guy called Devin Dixon, and he was running a youth club. And he was like, H, like, what can you do? I said, well, you know, these are the things I got down. I got these things there, you know, that I've been looking at, these little things. And I think people, young kids will do good by learning the things like the ripple effect, feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And there was analogies that I could take out and put into like little stories. So he goes, hey, yeah, so okay then, right? I'll show you how to put it into a lesson plan. So I said, okay then, bam. And that opened up a different journey. So the journey that opened up now was, I went back to my old school, Juicy, and we were running 12-week programs with young people that were on the verge of getting excluded. We're taking them out of Juicy and bringing them to the powerhouse and running like a 12-week program with them. And that was through the books that I was reading that gave me the knowledge and the input to start running these little programs. And again, yeah, they were going well. They were absolutely going well. And I remember again, my friend said to me, he said to me again, there were certain things that people say to me that stick with me to this day. Even though I can't remember a lot of things, there's certain things that people say to me that stick with me. It says, the sleeping giant has awoken. Remember that quote? It says to me, the sleeping giant has awoken. Because now I wanted my own. I no longer wanted to work for anybody else. I wanted to do my own because I now had confidence to say, I can do this by myself. At the same time, I was jumping on little courses, and I jumped on a mentoring course. Me and my friend called Mike. Mike is the owner of G Camp. I've been with Mike doing Thai boxing, again, over 2 decades of teaching kids Thai boxing. If you've learned Thai boxing in the radius of like 2 to 3 miles of me, I've taught you. You know what I'm saying? You've done Thai boxing with me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, again, I've inspired people again before. I've been inspiring people before I even knew what the word inspiring meant. Yeah. You understand? So that was another part of my life, you know, where I was doing the Thai boxing. Anyway, I got a call off a guy saying, right, they want some mentors. They want to come down for an interview. Now, this was a Sunday. I says, I've not got no CVs. He goes, no, just come down anyway. I just want to see you. So I went down to see this guy, sat down, and he says to me, tell me a little bit about yourself. So I told him my story. I told him, you know, again, I got here from the age of 9, you know, I've been living with my aunties. It's not been the best place. And, you know, after I finished, he shook my hand and I got off. I got called the next day, can I start tomorrow? You know, I got my job through my story of my life. That's all. I didn't get my job with a CV. Didn't get my job with no A levels, no B level. I didn't get my job with any of that. You know, I've left school with nothing, absolutely nothing. Yeah. So yeah, again, so I eventually left the airport. And the reason why I probably didn't leave the airport years before, because I knew I had to fill out that form again.
Yeah.
And that form was always daunting me. Like, even before I got that job, I got another job working for the Royal Mail. And this is another thing about me. I can go somewhere once and I can remember. Yeah. You take me somewhere once and I can remember how to get home and I can remember how to get back. Now,
wow.
When I was working for the Royal Mail, this was like places like they take you on a route, and this route was out like Cheshire, Mold, North Wales, all over. They took me on that route twice. After that, I knew the route. They were amazed to thinking, how the hell is this guy knew the route in 2 days? It takes people months. It took him 2 days. Now, this what was compensating for my lack of abilities that I didn't have like everybody else. Yeah, I've got other abilities that people that haven't got. You understand? Yeah. And it was now looking at the abilities that I do have instead of the abilities that I don't have. Do you understand? So yeah, I was doing that job there. I think this is when I just bought my house. and I needed all the money in the world because obviously, you know, I've got all these builders and they're wanting money to do the house. So I wanted to get all these jobs. Anyway, after about, I don't know, about 12 weeks, they wanted to employ me. Instead of me working for the agency, they wanted to employ me. So again, I've had to fill out one of them forms. Anyway, so fill out the forms. They let me go the same day. The same day, they let me go. They let me go the same day. Because once you work for the Royal Mail is under the Queen. So they found out the same day that I've been convicted of a Class A drugs. So the same day, I finished my round, got back, give me we have to let you go. And I knew what it was. I knew it was basically my past. So once again, this is now, I think I am now probably in 10 years in now. 10 years in, I've been out of jail, and my past is still having a detrimental to my progression of my present moment in time now. So I get on my motorbike, and again, one of them times I can remember again, gets my motorbike, and I'm riding my motorbike at top speed. The top speed on that bike is 130 miles per hour. And I'm going down the Mancunian in between cars doing 130 miles per hour. I think once again, I've had enough. I've had enough. I've just had enough. I've absolutely had enough of like trying, and no matter how hard I try, it seems to be like I'm getting knocked back to being a 9-year-old child again. You know, I'm going back. No matter how hard I'm going back to a 9-year-old child, and I've had enough. So again, I've jumped on my bike and I'm doing 130 miles per hour, and I eventually slow down. Eventually, I slow down, and I don't know. I must have talked myself out of it. I don't know. I just remember I slow down, and obviously I'm still at the airport. You know, because it don't matter what, I've never left the airport because that was always income. So I've never ever left the airport, even though I've had other jobs. The airport was always foundation. So anyway, when I got this other job, by then the relationship that I had by then was going rocky. This time I think I'm probably about over 10 years in, married, got kids, whatnot. And even a story about my kids. This is, I don't want to take you too long because it's a long story.
No, go ahead. The space is yours.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I've got 4 kids, and the thing about when I've had each of my kids, I felt as if like that was my safe place. You know, I now had my kids, I now had my house. Even this as well, and this is again, I've always have to go back to the story of the flea in the jar. When I bought my house, I love my mum to bits, but I think sometimes we say things and not understanding what we're saying. As I wouldn't say Caribbean people, I would just say as people as one. So I bought my house. I'm absolutely over the moon. I'm absolutely over the moon. I bought this house. The house, obviously, it's like a builder site. It's absolutely derelict. I phoned my mum and I said, "Mum, I just bought a house." And first, my mum says, "Well, why did you buy an old house? Why didn't you buy a new house?" Oh. And it was just like, my high just went down. Yeah. You know, it was just like, you know, like there was no like joy, there was no excitement, there was no well done, son. There was absolutely nothing. It was just like, once again, a 9-year-old child again. Yeah. You know, I bought the house, and again, even when I bought the house, do you know that saying about blood, sweat, and tears? Yeah. This house brought blood, sweat, and tears. You know, when I bought the house, and you know, I had my uncle coming and trying to help me, and he was just taking my money, and he was there working, and I didn't know this because I had 2 jobs. I used to come here sometimes, and when I left, he left. Right. So he'd be here working when I'm here. When I'm left, he'll go and work somewhere else. Right. Oh, so gosh. He was prolonging this job and taking my money and going elsewhere, you know? So even this journey of this house was absolutely hell. You know, the whole thing was hell. It was like, eventually, I think we got 1 room working. I think was just the bedroom upstairs. So we used to live upstairs in the bedroom, and I used to go to the gym and have a shower at the gym. You know, you couldn't come downstairs, you know? And that's how we started off. That time I just met the kid's mum. She lived in town in an apartment, so I used to stay there sometimes. But sometimes I come here by myself and I try and do as much as I can. Obviously, I'm not a builder, but I could do as far as what I could do with my hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, persistence, dedication, commitment. These things eventually got the house livable. Again, we got our first child. The house was livable. Years went on again. And again, I was happy. You know, I had my home. I got a job. Got a wife. Got my children. Everything was great. Absolutely great. Again, as time goes on, things start. You know, as I say, you start seeing holes in the wall. You know, the relationship starts breaking down, realizing that you want different things. You know, you definitely want different things. It was just like a great journey that's come to the end. You know, but now we've got 4 kids. And again, one day, the kids are gone, the house is silent, and I'm in here by myself. And again, I'm still at the airport at them times as well. I'm still at the airport. And again, I'm not going to disrespect the mum, because it was a great journey and she was a great person.
Yeah.
But I looked up to her in a way as if like I gave her my power. You know, as people talk about giving your power away, I gave my power to her. Like she was highly educated, so I seen her as a highly educated person. And every idea I came up across, I came to her, because obviously she was my wife. And every idea came to, oh, it won't work, oh, that won't work. And she shut me down. And I believe in like, yeah, you're right, it won't work. And yeah, I just stayed at the airport. I just stayed there, and I was dying. I was absolutely dying inside, because I felt as if there was something awake inside, but couldn't get out.
Yeah.
Because every idea I had, it got shut down. And there was no belief. There was no full belief in me. Yeah, because even though the reading was okay and the spelling was okay, it wasn't 100%. It wasn't 100%. So them things always kept me back. It always kept me back. It always kept me from probably looking an office job. It kept me looking at a job where I had to interact and probably write down things fast, you know? So it always kept me in a way of like, you know, you stay here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, years went by where, like I said, I felt as if like, you know, I was on autopilot. You know, I was absolutely on autopilot. As much as I want to come off autopilot, I didn't have the courage to spread my wings. I wasn't brave enough. As much as I had all the passion, I didn't have the courage or the bravery. You know, the minute somebody said to me, you know, you can't do this, you can't read good, you can't spell, you can't do that, I thought, oh, okay, you're right. You know, and I went back in my box. And I think when the relationship broke down and the kid's mum obviously moved out, and I was there by myself for a couple of months and whatnot. Obviously, you mope around, don't you? You walk around, you feel a bit like a wounded dog. And yeah, I think when I got that job, I felt as if like, wow, okay, all right, yeah, I got this job now. Okay, what can I do? And I realized that the job was a blank canvas. The school just opened up. It just opened up. It's not been open up very long, and they needed people who were creative and had ideas on what to do. And I was full of ideas. All I needed somebody was to put me in the right direction and give me a bit of, oh, H, that can work. That can work. That can work. And that's what happened. That's what happened. Next minute, I'm in a classroom on a whiteboard teaching a classroom full of 10, 15 kids. Spelling ain't hot, reading ain't hot, but I'm teaching kids and they're listening. You understand? And they're being inspired. And again, it was the books. You know, now I start buying books. Now I'm buying books. I'm investing in books and I'm reading the books. I'm finding time to read the books, because before, reading a book was taking me like probably 4 months. Now a book's taking me a month. You know what I mean? Because I'm finding that time, you know, I'm reading, you know, everywhere I'm walking, I've got the book in my pocket. So every time I look 10 minutes, I'm reading 3 pages. You know what I mean? Because the way I am, I got to read the 3 pages 6, 7 times to get it in my head, you know? So the more I read, that's a good bit. Let me take that out of the book and write that down. So I always had paper with me. So I was always writing things down that I thought that was great. And next morning I bring it to the classroom. So again, I was obviously, I have to articulate a little bit different from everybody else. So me, I had to get in the classroom 10 minutes before everybody else. So I had to write my stuff down because I couldn't write and read at the same time. So I have to write it all down first and then go through it that way. So where most people would write the first line and then talk, write the second line, I couldn't do that. I've had to write all my lines down and then go through it. But yeah, all that done was gave me more confidence, gave me more power, gave me more this, gave me more and more. Now, from there, within about 6 months, my wage went up by about 10, 20, 30, 40%. My wage was going bam because I was doing things that educated people from university could not do.
Yeah.
So now my pass was now coming to be a tool that nobody else had apart from me. So now that pass, that I felt as if like there was days that I wanted to end it. There was days that there was misery. There was days where, like I said to you, I had a mental state of like I could block the world out. You know, I had a mental state of like, you know, I can eat cornflakes with water and smile as if like, yeah, my water tastes better than your milk. You know what I mean? You know, I can jump in that cold shower and sing. It's nothing. You know what I mean? It's like it's nothing. All them skills gave me the ability to maneuver better than anybody else. Because I'm now working with children who are from a challenging background, who are from a background where their parents are probably intoxicated, who are on drugs, who are from a single background, who have been broken, who have been probably kicked out of every school, who have been told that they can't do this and they can't do that. Now they got this teacher in front of them. That's, bro, my spelling and writing can't his name pump, but I'm teaching you. So if I can do this, don't tell me that you can't do that. You understand? So again, the inspiration and giving people that motivation started from there. That's when it really started. When I got that blank canvas to be the person who I probably should have been maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you know. And then once I started believing in myself, it just grew and grew and grew. And you know, I started doing other things. Like I said, I started doing fitness classes out and about, you know, like in the parks for free, just to get people out and about and get people fitness and whatnot. And I started off with the I used to call myself How It Pays Off. That was my name, How It Pays Off. You know, how it pays off, how it pays off, how it pays off. You know, and I got really known for that. How it pays off, how it pays off. I mean, because I was into stuff, I was like reading and looking at things. I was looking at hard work. It's not about hard work. It's about smart work. Thinking smart. Because when I looked at mostly our people as Black people, I thought we're one of the most hardworking people, but we don't have much.
Yeah.
And why we don't have much? Because we don't think smart. So when I thought smart work pays off, don't ring a bell. That's not really a chant, that is it? It don't really roll off the tongue, does it? You know what I'm saying? It don't roll off the tongue. So I kind of put down the how it pays off a bit. I kind of like, because at what point I kind of stopped doing fitness because everyone knew me as How It Pays Off, and I kind of like I wanted to shun away from that. So and this was another thing I realized when I shunned away from fitness, I also went back in myself, not realizing that fitness also made me who I was. Because I've been doing fitness from the age of 15, 14. So when I stopped doing it, like in my early 30s, trying to find somebody else who was in me, I didn't realize that me doing that would also affect me in many different ways.
Yeah.
So for a period of time, I kind of went in a way where I would say I went a bit depressed and not realizing, well, what's happening to me? Not realizing because I'm not doing fitness, that's what's happening to me. I'm not getting in them endorphins, you understand? So at one point, I kind of like stood still. Going back, I met a guy called Richard Davison. I met Richard. This is a guy from America. This was my mum's friend. I met him 1 or 2 times in Jamaica, and we started talking. Anyway, he started talking about crypto. Do you know about crypto? I says, I don't know about crypto, bro. I says, he goes, well, I can send you some information. I says, bro, to be honest with you, it takes long for me to learn, but I'm willing to learn. So I used to get up in the morning at 4 o'clock because they're 6 hours behind. So I used to get up at 4 o'clock to liaise with him every morning. So every morning we liaise for about an hour, talk about crypto, and I tell him, like, you know, the things that I want to do, and he would try and basically, he was my mentor. He was my mentor, and we were talking about certain things, and he would say, okay, all right, and he was watching me all the time, you know, like when I put videos up on Facebook and Instagram, and when I say things, he will catch them phrases and say them back to me.
Yeah, they are catchy.
Yeah, and he was like, yo, H, he's like, the game changer. So why don't you call yourself the game changer? And I'm like, oh, right, the game changer. And I thought, that makes sense, that, you know, bro, the game changer. I thought, okay, yeah, the game changer. Okay, yeah, now we're cooking, and now we're cooking on gas. Okay. And I'll be talking, like, for example, like, I remember one time I was talking, I said something like, I finished off the sentence by saying, find the time to find the time. And he's the one that says to me, H, do you understand what you've just said? Because sometimes I just talk, because I have a unique skill that I don't really understand right now. Like, because sometimes I don't need to coerce what to say. My mind takes over me and I talk. Yeah. But I know sometimes if I could reverse and listen to what I'm saying, sometimes there were some good things that I know I could cut and chop and put air and did it anyway. But that's what he was doing. So he came up with the verse, find the time to find the time. And it's only when I look back into it and I thought, that makes sense, you know. Find the time to find, because we all say we haven't got time, aren't we? That's one of the things that we say. We haven't got time. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. So what have you got time for then? You know what I mean? So when I came up with, find the time to find the time. There is 24 hours in a day. You must confine 10 minutes every single day to work on yourself. Okay? Then the next thing came, it only takes a moment to change the game. Yeah? That was the next saying. It only took a moment, because it only took a moment for me to wake up in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning to liaise with this man, to get myself into, whether it was into understanding about finance, whether it's understanding about investment, whether it's understanding about me looking at me creating a different environment, me believing in myself more. It only took a moment to change the game. So these are the things that made this game changer who he was along the way. It was, again, people believing in me. When there were shut doors, there was also another open door. You know, I remember one time I went from driving to driving LGV truck, them big trucks, and I fell 3 times. And I thought, why have I failed? And when I look back at certain things, I realized that things happen in your life for a reason. Now, if I would have become a lorry driver driving for I don't know how many hours, then I don't think I would have been able to be the game changer.
True.
You know what I mean? So I want to look at certain, even like the Royal Mail. The Royal Mail was like I was falling asleep because I started my first job at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock. I started Royal Mail at 2 o'clock till 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Yeah? That's what worked every day. Yeah. 6 days a week. I had 1 day off. Now, some of the times I was driving and I was falling asleep driving. So it was only a matter of time before I end up crashing and probably end up dying. So me getting sacked was a disguise. Was it as I said, there's a blessing in disguise. But when it happened, I couldn't see that. All I could see was that ticking that box made me lose my job. Do you understand? So the journey's been a beautiful journey. They say, learn to enjoy the journey before you look at, you know, what's to come. Because, you know, we all want to be, we all want to be in a way where we want to be, whether it's financially independent, we want to be, I don't know, what's the way, we want to be in a position where we can say that we've achieved all these things, haven't we? You know what I mean? Or we want to set our eyes out to have all these things. But they say, if you can't enjoy the journey, then you ain't going to enjoy all them things.
Absolutely.
So when I'm looking back at the journey that I've had, it's been a beautiful journey. Me going jail has been a beautiful journey. You know, I went through that whole place, didn't have one fight, didn't make one enemy. You know, came out of there with, like I says, I learned to read. You know, if I went to I don't think I probably would have learned to read, because I probably would have ended up being a paint and decorator. Sorry, I've been a spraying cars, and that would have been me working in a garage spraying cars. That's not the game changer, mate. You're mad. You know what I mean? that's not the game changer. So when I look back at all these things and I think to myself, you know, in the midst when these things happen, like I said, being a flea inside a jar, you know, when these things happen to you because of your environment, because of your circumstances, we always look at the badness. But what they say sometimes, through every badness that we go through, there's always a shining light, and there is always a lesson to be learned, you know. So sometimes, as I say, you know, it's not about being a pessimist. It's about being an optimistic person. You know, it's about be looking at whether it's half full or half empty, be looking at it from all different angles. You know what I mean? And looking at it sometimes, instead of looking at it, like I said, bleakly and thinking, look, everything's dark. Look at the light. You understand?
Absolutely.
So the journey has given me the ability to be probably having this conversation with you. You know, because if I was spraying cars, I wouldn't have much to say to you. Yeah, I spray cars. Yeah, I sprayed a Jaguar, I sprayed a Porsche, sprayed a few BMs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Boring. You know what I'm saying? So the journey that we're all on, as I would say, is either you're going through a storm, you're coming through a storm, or you're in a storm. It only lasts for a period of time. But as that journey is going on, try and learn something from that journey. Try and take something positive from that journey. I have took something positive, even the breakup of me and the children's mum. Without me breaking up from her, I probably would not be the game changer.
Yeah.
As it's mad as it sounds, you know, because I was not growing underneath that person. I was not growing because every idea I had, I needed somebody to give me that validation.
Yeah.
Now I don't need no one to validate me. I validate myself. So again, like I said, sometimes as much as you see these things happening in your life and you think to yourself, it's all going to pot, nothing's happening. And all you can see is just the measuring it on the dark spots. Sometimes, as they say, the Lord's he's making the moves for you, mate.
Absolutely.
He's turning you into the person that you need to turn into to be the person that you need to be.
Yeah.
You understand? So for me to be the game changer, I've had to have that past that I have to. I can't be the game changer without having that past. Do you understand? So the past is what makes me the game changer. It makes me being able to, you know, give people that bit of belief to understand that, you know, don't matter what, you know, your demons are, whatever you don't have, you know, there is talent inside you. You understand? We've all been blessed with a talent. We've all been blessed with an ability to do something. We need to stop chasing other people's talent, other people's ability, to start looking at what we have inside. Like I said, it took me to be probably in my 40s to understand that I am the game changer.
Yeah.
You understand? And I've come here to help people change the way they see things, change the way they eat, change the way they train, change the way they even what they speak to themselves. You understand? And sometimes people see me as arrogant, but it's not arrogant, it's confidence. It's been a child where not having no belief system, having no confidence, having no structure, having no, well, I've always had discipline, but not even understanding what discipline meant. But the vital points of that I've needed, like structure, someone over me, like a mentor, or consistency, persistence. I didn't have them. So now I have all these things. It may come across as arrogant. It's not. I'm just a person that knows what he wants, and also believes in himself 150%. You can't take me off my A game. You understand? Can't.
Yes.
I mean, don't matter what you say to me. Like, I was having a talk with one of like my business partners, I would say, the other day, and he likes to use the word can't. Yeah. And I told him, the next time that you speak to me, if you use the word can't, I can't talk to you no more. Because that word don't exist in my life, because I've been through hell and back. And like, there is no can't. There is no, like I've said to you, the things that I've achieved, you know, it's like, how?
Yeah.
If I would have seen the word can't from the age of 9, I would have given up. I would have given up when I was that skinny kid that come off the plane who had white hashy knees, that was freezing and hated the cold. You know, now I'm a big man that frigging swims in cold water, mate, in lakes.
Game changer move that. Honest, I'm gonna have to. Do you know what? If you're up for it, I would love to have you back because it's like it's 8:30 now.
No problem. I know I can talk all day long. That's what I'm saying. That's what I said to him. Have you got enough time for this?
No, absolutely. I wanted you to really have this space because I know some of your story. I've learned some more of your story tonight, and it really inspires me. You know, the fact that you've gone from surviving to thriving, that you're somebody that's looks at your past as it happening for you, not to you, and that you're standing upon it. And then not only that, you're using what you've been through to help other people and children, especially, which is something that I'm passionate about. Do you know what I mean? It's amazing. And you know, I tell you that anyway. I think you're absolutely amazing at what you do and inspiring. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the comment sections because there've been loads of comments coming through.
Sorry.
So
Okay. Right.
No, it's been beautiful. I didn't want to interrupt you because you're a storyteller, you know, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm sure everyone that's been watching this evening has been inspired or empowered in some way. So let me have a look. So, oh, right, okay. So there's been a lot of tags in here. So Ashley, do not blame you. I cried for the first year I moved to Manchester too. And I only came from Sheffield. I deal with the rain here. Let's see, big though in it. Mad that you're saying this. My husband said the same thing just yesterday about the schools difference. Mad. Yeah. So there's mostly comments. I don't see any questions. So I don't know if anyone's got any questions for Horace, if you want to put them in now. Or if you're on the replay, I will tag Horace into this recording so that he'll be able to see it so he can answer them. And then whilst you were speaking, there was lots of thumbs up and hearts. So there was lots of people really feeling what you're saying and really just showing a lot of support. So because of the time, I'm not going to ask you any questions. To be honest, it's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. I just want to thank you for trusting me to hold this space for you to share your story, and being the first man, being the first brother that's, you know, agreed to come on and share with us all. I really appreciate that. I want to just hand over this section to you for a moment, just to let people know if they want a bit more of the Game Changer, with all your cooking and your inspirational, motivational posts that you do. Like, where can they find you?
Well, basically, I'm on mostly every platform. I'm on TikTok, the Game Changer. That's THA Game Changer, A at the end. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Again, Game Changer. You see the sign here. You can't miss me. But yeah, again, guys. You know, if you want to DM me any questions you want to ask me, if I can inspire you, if I can help you. Right now, I run my own business. It's called the Game Changers. We do retreats. We're working with young people, taking them out to the communities, bringing them into the countrysides. I run my own youth club, working with young people, trying to teach them about finance, trying to teach them like being creative, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, listen, I'm just here as a tool. I'm here as a tool to be helping anyone. I'm also a personal trainer, so you want to get fitness, DM me if you want to get some fitness. I'm also a nutritionist if you want problems with your diet. I'm on social media, and most of the things I do them for free. Seriously, I'm out here helping people because again, like I'm here to help the mass. I set out a goal. Sorry to kill. I set out a goal a couple of years ago about I wanted to help 1 million people, or inspire 1 million people. I've gone past that already. But yeah, I just want to keep it going. I'm trying to create a legacy out here, definitely, and just to inspire people to, once again, like, do not let people or your past have or traumas dictate how you should live right now. You understand? Do not let these things weigh you down. Do not let them be a rucksack that stops you from being that butterfly that you are. Do you understand? Listen, we're all game changers. Every human being has a game changer inside them. You just got to dig deep. Believe in yourself. Visualize, belief, and time. That's my formula.
Thank you. Inspiring words indeed.